Hello you fantastic people and welcome back to Borderlands 3 to my best build video yet. Is a Mayhem 10 level 60 Alpha Flak Fadeaway build. Alpha Flak, I've never named any of my builds before, but this one is my main strongest build regardless if it's for bossing or mobbing, so I thought we'd give it a cool name, you know, being a Beastmaster. This one we're calling it Alpha, and I think that sounds pretty cool. So I'm going to start showing clips on screen so you guys can see how much damage this thing does in both bossing situations with a variety of guns and mobbing situations like the Guardian takedown, the melee one takedown. Doesn't matter, this thing will shred everything. I've made heaps of flak builds in the past, but this one is the one I use every single day, on stream, off stream, just having fun with flak. This is the build I go for. We have a ton of different weapons in here. It actually does not matter, doesn't rely on any gimmicks or anything like that. It's just pure flak damage. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, so in this video we're going to go over the weapon recommendations, the best ones at least for Mayhem 10. Of course, there is a huge variety, so we'll have our backpack entirely stocked, as well as a skill tree overview for you guys, as well as the Mayhem modifiers I recommend depending on what you're doing in Borderlands 3. But yeah, this build, like I said, absolutely love this thing. It took a little while to get out for you guys because I wanted all the best weapons pretty much in Borderlands 3, and that takes a little while with the new level cap, Mayhem 10, all that fun stuff. But we have got all the best weapons. I've fully tested out the new DLC weapons to work out which ones are the best of the best. So if you want the absolute maximum damage in the game right now with flak, this build is definitely going to be the way to go. It is also a fadeaway build, 3-shot or Gorillas in the Mist. It doesn't actually depend on either of them. You can do either, whichever you prefer. And if you really prefer, you can run rack attack instead as well if you want. But this build I generally use with fadeaway, so that's what we're going to be talking about throughout this video. But yeah, like you're probably seeing on screen, this build absolutely shreds bosses with a whole ton of different weapons, which is what I love about it so much, that it doesn't actually rely on any, you know, skill tree, exploit or anything like that. It's just a ton of critical hit damage, and it's just a ton of regular gun damage to make any weapon an absolute machine in this game, which is great. It one clips Graveward with so many different weapons. The takedown, the melee one takedown, absolute walk in the park today, and the Guardian takedown, I absolutely shredded my best time running through it for the first time since level 60. I ran it today, then we ran it a few more times, but I absolutely smashed my best time. We did go down a few times because that's Flak Boy for you. He doesn't have a ton of health, but the amount of damage in it is fantastic. Plus, I actually don't mind about going down anymore with the Guardian takedown because Pet is actually healthy enough to be there for that revive now, which is fantastic. And yeah, you can just keep getting up and keep running, doing damage, destroying everything in the room. It doesn't even rely on a recursion, by the way, just a heads up. You can totally use a recursion if you want to, just so you know it doesn't depend on it whatsoever for the Guardian takedown. There's a bunch of weapons that work for the Guardians themselves, as well as the bosses, which was great. Okay, let's get into the good stuff. The gear, there is a whole bunch of DLC items in here and a whole bunch of non-DLC items as well, plus a whole bunch of stuff in the bank that flat out couldn't fit in my backpack because you can see I'm out of space. But you do not require DLC for this build to be good. I've run it since before any DLC came out. Trust me, it's good, don't stress. I'll tell you all the substitutes that you require to rock this build non-DLC. But let's get into it. One of my new favorite weapons is a light show. It's absolutely amazing. It's a DLC 3 weapon. I would highly recommend it. Super fast fire rate, flat off pistol that does a ton of elemental damage. It one clips Graveward. It's really good. Smashes in the Guardian takedown, melee one takedown, just any situation. Well, the light show is awesome. The Maggie is back in full force, destroys bosses as well. Of course, mobbing situations has always been great for the Maggie. Getting action skill back using 3-shot fadeaway, it's really good as well. The Unkempt Herald is really good. If you guys haven't seen my other videos on that, you do just need a hardcore farm for this thing to try and get a good elemental variant, because non-elemental variants just aren't it, unfortunately, in this game. But elemental rocks. The Monarch is still IMO, the strongest weapon in the game right now for bossing and mobbing combined in one weapon. Absolutely rocks the Guardian takedown. You guys probably saw the clips at the start of me destroying the Guardian takedown boss on M10 with these things. Definitely get yourselves a Monarch, regardless, honestly, of what build you're in. But this build, it's gonna rock. We'll quickly go over the backpack stuff for you guys. We'll just flick through it. There's a whole bunch of different roles. I've been farming like crazy, which you probably can see by now. The beacon is fantastic. It's like a a Hell Shock version 2, but the Hell Shock is still fantastic. Honestly, it's on par with it. It's just kind of a different variant, honestly, having a beacon. They're both really good. Would recommend getting those. Gargoyle is amazing for anything that's armored, shreds through them. The King's Call rocks again. I'm so happy that Jacob's pistols are back along with the 7th Sense. Can't get that one anointed, but it's a DLC 2 weapon mission reward. Go get yourselves one of them. Again, now it's Mayhem 10 scaled. The license, pretty good. Not one of my favorite weapons, but smashes mobbing wise as well. Lots of ricochets like Jacob's weapons, which is great. The flipper, another fantastic weapon. One clips bosses, great for mobbing situations. You just have to try and keep your finger on the trigger the entire time, otherwise you lose those projectiles. Like I said, Monarchs rock. OPQ, still amazing, doesn't matter, it's level 57, it's really, really good. Which, by the way, the Monarchs still rock at level 57, you don't have to refarm those if you don't want to. The frequency is an amazing weapon for mobbing as long as you're getting kills on kills without downing, because the more kills you get more shots per singular trigger pull, I guess, or one consumption of ammo. Eventually it starts shooting like 5 or 6 shots per trigger pull, and it rocks anything. It's great. The Dakota is a fantastic purple weapon. Shotgun, I didn't try it for ages, but highly recommend it. It's kind of like the Garcia, less overall pellets, which is unfortunate, but the damage on this thing is fantastic. The Stagecoach is back. That's really, really good. Honestly, I don't know which one I like more at the moment, but both of them definitely rock. I kind of like this one just because of the mag size, but for the guys that are in non-DLC, the Stagecoach definitely keeps up with it at least. Iron Cannon, fantastic for one-shotting things. I'm sure you guys have seen if you stack Stackbot and the Pearl, you can one-shot most things with the Iron Cannon, which is great. The Robin's Call, we've only got a times 12 so far. I know it comes up to times 16, and I've heard it comes to times 18, but I haven't seen it myself. So you can get higher pellet ones. We just got 100% ASE in here as well. The Nukem, same difference as the Iron Cannon. One dinks things, it's fantastic. As for sniper rifles, there's a bunch of great ones at the moment. Wedding Invitation is mostly only available for PC. You essentially have to save file, farm it. That's how I got this one. The Unseen Threat's amazing. The Complex Root from DLC 3 is the strongest sniper rifle in the game, without a doubt. If there wasn't a clip at the start, I'm going to show a clip now of me absolutely destroying bosses with it. The Skull Masher is really, really good, again on Mayhem 10, which is so, so good to see. I'm probably going to try and keep farming myself a higher mag size one, because 4 bullets runs out a lot. But it's fantastic for mobbing and bossing, which is great. The Sandhawk, haven't even taken the time to refarm a level 61 yet, because it honestly doesn't matter. It's still one clip or one fadeaway destroys bosses, which is great. Only problem is ammo consumption is disgustingly high on it, so definitely get yourselves a Cut Purse Rocket Boots. There you go, Cut Purse Rocket Boots is a fantastic artifact. Gets ammo back in your magazine just from slamming on the ground, which is great. As for shields, it's not just the Transformer this time. I know that's usually what this build was, but we have a bunch of different options. The Stopgap, fantastic. Quickly becoming my favorite shield, honestly. High capacity, that immunity on shield break is so nice. You can abuse the new Anoint on action skill start, use any ability that's on shield break or fill, aka you can be immune for 5 seconds every single time you activate 3-shot fadeaway, which is really, really strong. I don't have any of those at level 60 yet. I'm pretty sure I have one in here at level 57. That one, it's really good for staying alive, but like you can see, 7k off the capacity. I definitely need to go farm the level 60 version. Other options, Old God, fantastic. I got this one sent to me because I could never get one to drop for myself. But so you guys can see, huge capacity, extra elemental damage is great, elemental resistance. This one's capacity is huge because it has plus 25 max capacity. Other options, Transformer still again. Bullet Absorb is amazing, particularly for the melee one takedown, less so for Guardian takedown. That's why I'm rocking a Stopgap at the moment. You can also, by the way, get Stopgaps with Bullet Absorb. It's quite a rare, but 30% chance to absorb bullets plus an immunity stage is ridiculously good. Almost overtaking, honestly, if I thought about it logically, would overtake my love for the Transformer. But yeah, both of those amazing shields. Also, like you can see, we're pairing the action skill and elemental annoyance with the grenade, whether it be fire, radiation, corrosive, shock combos, depending on which Guardian takedown, boss fight, melee one takedown you're running, depends on the combo you're going there. Make sure they're different elements though, because you can't stack 2, unfortunately. Grenades wise, I haven't really taken a good look into the grenade scaling yet. I'm sure there's plenty of great grenades out there. I'd love to hear your recommendations, by the way. If you guys have them, chuck them down in the comments. I'm still using It's Piss for bosses. It's fantastic. Get 20% extra damage against bosses or any enemy, sorry, that's hit by the grenade itself for 6 seconds. So that's why extra destruction of bosses comes from. The Power Siphon Transfusion Longbow, if you can get a tracker one on there, it's even better. But that's had a huge buff with the grenade scaling, 18k damage. That'll put health back in your health bar, as well as shields, depending on how much damage you've done to the other enemy that's been hit by it. On Grenade Thrown, another great anointment. if you guys want 25% extra damage, I guess, for boss fights or even just mobbing situations if you'd like. The Cloning Hunter Seeker, or you can get a Mitosis Hunter Seeker, is fantastic. Also because it stacks up the StackBot class mod, which we are mostly running for this build. Now, class mods, I've been farming a ton of them. StackBots are still my favorite class mods because I am usually always using multi-pallet weapons. If you're using single pallet weapons, they're not as efficient, so I would go something like a Bounty Hunter. Or if you guys don't have DLC 1, rock a Bounty Hunter. Honestly, there's not a huge difference, particularly with the annoying bugs in it. Apparently, pet damage still resets StackBot, which is super annoying, so it could be super amazing class mod, but currently I still prefer it over a Bounty Hunter, but they're about the same, honestly. It depends on the passives you guys get for them. We have one in here for every kind of situation: weapon combo, manufacturer, minus the new DLC ones mostly. I have a ton of Jacob's ones. I have pistol damage. We have general weapon damage, as well as some Atlas in there for the old OPQ. This one is honestly the one on the right, the one I've used for a very long time, seeing that it's still a level 51. I have farmed Jackpot 700 to 1,000 times this week. Will not drop me another god roll like that, so eventually we'll get one. But yeah, that's what you're going to be looking for: damage, crit damage, particular manufacturer damage, crit damage. The one I have on the left here is actually really good. I just ran that in the Guardian takedown. Having some pistols like the Light Show, the Maggie, the Harold, just having a Monarch as well at the same time. It's got weapon, crit, pistol damage, plus the damage reduction really helps, seeing as Flak is a squishy boy. Of course, you can't control the passives, but if you get that, that's actually another great bonus. Artifacts, of course, the Pearl. Apologies for people that don't have DLC, but the Pearl is the strongest artifact in the game, so that's one where you're rocking. Don't stress if you don't have it though, because it's not necessary for this build to rock. I run a Snowdrift Auto Idle, still have my level 53 one, sorry, and it's still totally fine. Having that extra health regen is really, really good. A different one you can get is a Snowdrift Victory Rush that increases your damage every time you kill a boss enemy, which happens all the time in Guardian takedowns or melee one takedowns, anything like that. So that's also a really good one. Amp 2 damage, also get health regen. Snowdrift is really good for dodging shots, staying alive as Flak, just generally moving around really quick, which is what I love about it. And you get a bunch of extra passives there: shotgun damage, mag size, action skill cooldown rate is an absolute god roll. Hence, I'm still rocking it at level 60, even though it's level 53. Other artifacts I have in here are a Cut Purse Launchpad. I just realized I don't want the rocket boots. Get rid of the rocket boots. Cut Purse Launchpad, like I said, is a fantastic artifact for getting ammo back, particularly in like the Guardian takedown, where it's super scarce depending on what weapon you're using. All you have to do is take use of the Guardian perk down here. Come on and slam. You just jump, slam on the ground, it'll shoot rockets out and go collect ammo for you and just fill up whatever gun is in your hand, which is amazing, and honestly made the Guardian takedown doable for me, and especially in the first week or two of it. Other option would be an elemental projector. If you're rocking elemental weapons, that would be another option for you guys artifacts wise. As for Mayhem modifiers, my recommendations would be Holy Crit or Buddy System. I tried to get Buddy System to come up for me when I was doing the Guardian takedown today, but I ended up rolling it for like another 10 minutes and it just wouldn't roll, so I just gave up. Holy Crit is really good, but you have to be in Fadeaway because you're losing a lot of damage outside of Fadeaway. Chain Gang is a great one because it's really obnoxious. You can see it. I can quite easily dodge it. It doesn't do too much damage for a hard modifier. Healy Avenger is great. It's really neutral. Honestly, doesn't phase me at all. If an enemy gets a bit of a health regen, it's only going to be one every once in a while, and I'll just destroy him again anyway because Flak Boy's got the damage. As for easy modifiers, I run Big Kick Energy for increased gun damage because that's great. Recoil and weapon spread does not bother me at all. Other options would be Speed Demon, zooming around really quick, or Big Heads, whatever it's called. Easy crits that way would be another one you guys could run. Okay, let's get into the skill tree. There are a bunch of moving parts, by the way, which I'll point out as we go. But starting green tree, Fadeaway, of course, Gorillas in the Mist, or Not My Circus, depending on whether or not you have a bunch of 200% ASA, action skill active anointments, or if you have 100% ASE anointments, 100% after action skill and anointments. That depends which weapon rolls you guys get. I like Gorillas in the Mist because you can stay in Fadeaway for a bunch. You can get a whole bunch more shots off. It's better for survivability, but pure damage wise, 3-shot Fadeaway is better if you can get those god roll weapons. Other than that, definitely always run Unblinking Eye. Extra crit damage is amazing. As for skill points, always put 5 points into Furious Attack no matter what. It's one of the best perks, honestly, in the green tree. Just shooting things gets you damage, handling, and pet damage, which pet damage actually does matter in most situations now that they've had a good buff. They can actually be a solid teammate, which is great. Now these ones can move. You can either go 5 points in Overclock or put 5 points in Self-Repairing System. I like Overclocked for the increased fire rate, but it's not necessary. If you guys are feeling squishy, put more points into Self-Repairing System for increased max health and health regen. Down from there, 3 points in Turn Tail and Run means you get gun damage and fire rate while standing still. That's what you're doing when you're in boss fights, or damage reduction and health regen whilst moving, which is really good. Always put a point in Lick the Wounds. I do, at least. I always have. It's really good. If Flak dies to a barrel, something stupid, ASC explosions, something like that, Pet can pick you up. And now it's actually even better and definitely worth doing because Pet has the health, even in the Guardian takedown or the melee one takedown, to actually get that revive like 98% of the time. I think he only died once in the Guardian takedown, but every other time he gets you up and then gets pet damage, by the way, which is great for 60 seconds. Down from there, I believe you need to spend another point, which you can either put in Self-Repairing System or Overclock, depending on which one you spent it in originally. Gets you down to here. 5 points in Hidden Machine. Whenever you're in Fadeaway, you get more damage, which is great. Put 3 points in Fast and the Furious. I have an extra 2 from my class mod, which is great. Gets you gun damage, pet damage, and movement speed. And a whole ton of pet damage, which I just realized, which is amping him even more. Capstone, the power inside is great. If you're at full health at the time of action skill active, you get 50% damage for the next 15 seconds, which is disgustingly good. 25% if you're not at full health. Also, just mention quickly, Rage and Recover. I'm pretty sure I put in other builds before, but it is currently bugged. Apparently it's doing even less health of regen per second than it says, which is unfortunate. So don't rock that one at the moment. Put more points into Self-Repairing System for extra health there. Over to Red Tree, definitely put 3 points in Leave No Trace. It doesn't even really matter what weapons you guys are rocking, but like 100% do it if you're rocking multi-pallet weapons. Free ammo is great. Getting free ammo keeps you alive, does more damage. If you're using shotguns, it's a definite necessity as well. Put 5 points in Interplanetary Stalker. Kill skill, it gets you damage for yourself against particular enemies, and Pet gets also a ton of damage, which is good. Put 3 points into Head Count. Getting Fadeaway back on a loop is the absolute best thing ever. Getting those ASC anointments proccing, getting more like critical hit damage in Fadeaway. Survivability wise, you always want to be in Fadeaway, trust me. Hunter's Eye is really good as well, particularly against bosses. If you are using a Bounty Hunter class mod, this is the best because bosses are treated as humans, robots, and beasts. So you're getting all of those bonuses for every boss in the game if you're rocking a Bounty Hunter class mod. Moving down, we don't put points in Two Fang unless you guys are using only single projectile weapons. Don't rock Two Fang because multi-projectile weapons, one extra projectile isn't really worth it, only 25% of the time with 5 points spent. So yeah, don't rock that unless you're using single pallet weapons. 3 points in Big Game for sure. You just get a bunch of extra hunt skill duration and skill effects, which is great. The most dangerous game is Flak's best kill skill, 25% gun damage, 10% crit damage, handling, pet damage for 120 seconds is so long. Would recommend it for that one, guys. If you have a Bounty Hunter, by the way, you can get extra damage out of that. Let's see if we've got one over here for you guys. This one, absolute god roll for a Jacob's shotgun, by the way. 3 points in the most dangerous game. We now have 50% gun damage, 20% critical hit damage, pet 54% damage for 120 seconds. That's how strong the Bounty Hunters can be. It's really, really ridiculous, which is great. Plus, by the way, I only realized this recently. Flak has a 3% chance to activate any purchase hunt skill when dealing gun damage. That regularly procs the most dangerous game when you're using multi-projectile weapons. So even if you're bossing, you're proccing that and getting a ton of damage, which is great. Going down, put a point in Galactic Shadow for sure, extra crit hit damage there. Now you will need more points to get down to the Megavore Capstone, so I put 2 points in Second Intention for increased reload speed. That is pretty much the only one that is not focused on keeping us alive or doing crazy amounts of damage. But to be fair, if your guns aren't reloaded, that's usually how you die, so that's why I put 2 points into reload speed, particularly seeing as I use a lot of let-off pistols or Jacob shotguns. that reload a lot or take a really long time to reload. So that is definitely worth it. I personally don't put more because I don't think it's necessary. I think 2 is a good amount. If you don't want any of that, put 2 points in Grim Harvest to get you down to the capstone. A little bit of extra gun damage, action skill damage, and pet damage is great. It's just a very marginal amount, which is why I put it in reload time. Now, Blue Tree, it looks kind of weird. Bear with me, this one can change. I definitely put 3 points in Persistent Hunter regardless of anything, honestly, in Fadeaway Flak. Gets you increased gun damage, action skill duration by 45 seconds, which is really, really good. Now, the next part is the weird one and depends on what weapon you're using and what loadout you have prior to this. 2 points just to get you down to Frenzy in Ferocity. Gets you 20% extra pet damage, which, like I said, is actually useful now, which is great. And that lets you put 1 point in Frenzy. Pet always has 10 stacks of Frenzy in mobbing situations and very regularly in bossing situations, particularly if you are using the Jabber pet. If you guys are rocking a Bounty Hunter class mod, I would highly recommend putting the points in Frenzy because you can get Bounty Hunter class mods with more stacks in Frenzy. See, for 4 points, which is not a god roll by the way, 3 is pretty easy to get, you're getting 32% extra damage with 10 stacks, which, like I said, is very, very regularly. If you guys are running a stack bot instead and you don't want to run that, I have it on there all the time and just switch class mods regularly. But if you don't want to spend the 3 points here to just get an extra 8% gun damage and 20% pet damage, you can put more points in either reload speed or Grim Harvest for some more damage. As for pet choice, there's actually a bunch of great options. Currently, the Spider Ant Scorcher is the strongest one, does tons of damage, destroys in the melee one takedown in particular, which is great. Also gets you an extra 10% elemental damage, which when we're using so many elemental weapons now, it's very, very helpful. That has switched me over from the Gunslinger Jabber, which I used to rock all the time, because one, it's really good at stacking Frenzy, which is why you might still want to use it in, say, like the Guardian Takedown or something like that. It's a ranged enemy, it will stack those up really quickly for you guys. And it will give you an extra 5% crit hit damage. So if you're not using elemental weapons, then I'd probably rock the Gunslinger Jabber for that one. The Skag, you can run it if you want 5% extra damage. I personally would rock either of these two, Gunslinger or the Spider Ant Scorcher, which this one, by the way, also gets more health regen, which is good. But yeah, that is everything I have for the Alpha Flak Mayhem 10 level 60 fadeaway crit hit build. This thing absolutely destroys. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I hope you guys do enjoy the build. If you do, don't forget to smash subscribe down below for some more Flak builds, Borderlands 3 videos on a whole bunch of variety of topics. And if you guys want to help me out even more, you can smash like and share the video down below. That would be awesome. If you guys want to check us out over on Twitch, I live stream every single day just after I post my YouTube videos. That's always linked down below, or just search CodyMcQ on Twitch. It's usually a cool place to hang out with a bunch of people that like Borderlands 3, get up to some random shenanigans, make more builds, and just have a good time. And yeah, other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I shall see you guys in the next video and a live stream. Till then, adios.